Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of the Nike KD18, and this is the black label colorway, and of course this is Kevin Durant's brand new signature shoe with Nike. Kinda? Brand new? Not really, I mean, it's literally recycled, which kind of sucks. Like, what are you guys doing, Nike? What are you guys doing? You know what I mean? Like, I've never seen a signature shoe be recycled for the actual outsole and midsole. You know, like they do that on their budget shoes, like, you know, the Kyrie flag traps, the Kobe mentalities, you know, the Giannis immortalities, the LeBron witnesses. But I've never seen this happen for a signature shoe. You know what I mean? I've seen them do it with like the cushioning setup. Like, for example, the LeBron 15 to the 16, but they actually changed up the outsole, you know? So it wasn't the exact same shoe, you know? I guess the cushioning setup was the exact same though. But anyways, in this shoe from the 17, it's recycled outsole and midsole. But yeah, the black label colorway it retails for $180, but the KD18 is supposed to retail, like the general release colorways are supposed to retail for 150 bucks. So yeah, is this shoe good? We'll find out right now. Let's start it off with the Tracciones, and in this colorway we have a solid black rubber outsole, and it is literally identical in terms of the pattern with the KD17, right? And this shoe had really nice traction, but it just picked up dust, right? And because it is a translucent outsole, maybe that's what I'm guessing. Also, this is literally the exact same as well, but it says 17 here, and for the 18 it doesn't say 17 obviously, but it's literally the exact same. You know what I mean? So how's the traction? Traction's amazing, you know what I mean? So you don't need to break it really at all. And on a clean court, you have a top tier bite. It has a really nice stop, and you're stopping on a dime, which of course is really nice, right? Also, it has a nice loud high pitch squeak, just like the KD17, which also is very nice. Of course, that has nothing to do with performance, but if you like to have a nice squeak, the KD18 has got you covered. And also for dust performance, it is an improvement from the KD17, right? So I haven't tried the KD17 like solid rubber outsole options. I'm guessing it's probably gonna be better, but in this colorway, like I said, I do have a translucent, and it wasn't terrible on dust, but it was just inconsistent, right? And also I felt a little unsafe, right? So when I was playing on a dusty court with the KD17, it would slide out. And it would slide out a little dangerously, right? It wasn't just like it had worse bites compared to, you know, playing on a clean court. It would slide out, right? The KD18 on the other hand, of course it did pick up dust a little bit, but it wasn't sliding out ever. You know, it was just, you know, it would slide a little bit and that's it. You know what I mean? Like the KD17, kind of dangerous. 18, not dangerous at all, which of course was amazing, right? As far as the wipe goes, they're both pretty easy and slight wipes, so it wasn't terrible. It's just the KD17 was just a little bit more inconsistent. I just felt a little bit more unsafe because of the kind of like sliding out that I did on the dustier courts, right? So of course, light dust, they're both really good, but if you're playing on a moderate to like really heavily dusty court, the solid rubber outsole option is going to be better. And the KD18, like I was playing in both of these shoes at the same time, and the KD18 was just way more consistent, right? So it's not inherently that the KD18 is better, it's just that this is a solid rubber outsole, right? So I did see some colorways of the KD17 with a solid rubber outsole option, so probably just get the solid rubber outsole. Don't get the translucent if you can, if you're playing on a really dusty court, right? But yeah, that definitely is a disappointment because literally it's the exact same, you know what I mean? And as far as the durability goes, probably not the best option, right? The rubber is actually quite soft. The grooves are really thin too, so yeah, don't play on outdoor court in either of these shoes. And now moving on to the heel to toe transition, it feels really smooth, right? So here in the heel, we got a nice curve shape, but also with this cushion, it's really freaking soft. So when you're doing heel dominant strides, you know, you get a nice compression here in the heel. It feels very smooth, right? And also here in the forefoot, we got a nice curve shape. So feels very smooth from the shape, feels very smooth here in the heel. And then here in the forefoot, we got a nice flex, right? And with this flex, you got to put a little bit of kind of like strength into it, and then once it's flexed, has a little bit of spring back, just a tiny bit. It's not super springy or anything, but it does feel a lot more kind of like a stiff than shoes that are really freaking flexible, right? For example, like in the Ultralight 2025, this is the lightest hoop shoe they can get right now, and look at this. Look at how freaking easy it is to flex, you know what I mean? So it's just a really different feel. It's not that one's better than the other, you know what I mean? It's just a different feel. So yeah, it's just you need to put a little bit more pressure there, and then it has a little bit of spring back, which I do like, which is a little bit different than the KD17. I don't know why, you know what I mean? Like here in the forefoot, it doesn't bend as much, you know, and then it bends right here, you know, very, very easily. KD18, even though it does have that plastic plate here in the forefoot, just like the 17, it's still able to bend here in the forefoot. So I don't know what happened there, but it is a little bit different of a feel. This feels a little bit more stiff here in the KD18. The 17 is a lot more fluid feeling, you know, or like more flexible and softer feeling, right? Now moving on to the cushioning setup, literally the exact same as the KD17. Literally, right? So yeah, we got the cushion on, we got a nice compression here in the heel, which does feel very, very nice. Also, we do have an air strobe unit in the heel and midfoot, which improves the step and comfort and underfoot cushion in the heel a lot, you know what I mean? So right when you put it on, you can feel, just like standing around, you can feel the air strobe unit. It's soft, and once you get going, it starts to get a little bit bouncier. Of course, not as bouncy as Zoom, but still nice, right? And also, there's supposed to be a very large volume zoom unit here in the forefoot, but it is covered by a plastic plate, just like the KD17. I don't know why you would ever do that. But yeah, again, like I am lighter, so I can't really feel the zoom unit as much. But once I start playing, I can feel a little bit of something, just a tiny bit, you know what I mean? So it kind of sucks because, again, like I am lightweight. So if you are heavier, you're probably going to feel that a little bit easier, you know what I mean? But again, like comparing to other zoom unit setups in the forefoot, it's not that nice in my personal opinion, you know? They said they added that for more stability and more snappiness, which is like, so are you saying regular zoom unit setups in the forefoot are unstable? Like, what do you mean, you know? But anyways, yeah, it's the same, you know, it's pretty dang nice. I wish the forefoot zoom unit was nicer. Overall impact protection is really nice. You do have good step and comfort in the heel. The forefoot, not as much, you know. Overall court feel, I would say, is around average, slightly better than average, and there is a little bit of bounce as well, just from the air strobe unit. So yeah, if you tried the 17, you know what the 18 is gonna feel like. And also, if you tried the 16, it's pretty much the exact same as well. You know what I mean? So anyways, there's the cushioning setup there. Moving on to the upper. So they are using an open hold sandwich mesh, and it's supposed to be good for breathability, which, yeah, it has really good breathability, has a lot of airflow, it's thin and all that, right? So when I first got it, it was actually a little bit stiffer, you know what I mean? So I thought it was gonna be a little bit more supportive feeling than the KD17, but in the toe box, it's pretty much the exact same now. You know what I mean? I played in this literally like one game and it got really freaking soft. You know what I mean? So as far as the thickness goes, I would still say the KD17 feels a little bit thinner, but still actually, yeah, no, it's around the same actually. You know what I mean? We do have these overlays, which, you know, it does overall add to the support here in the toe box just a tiny bit more, but it's still a really soft material in the toe box, which I don't like. You know what I mean? I want something a little bit more supportive feeling, a little bit less stretchy. You know what I mean? It's just really freaking soft, you know? And I would say it's a tiny bit better than the 17, but not by much now that it's more broken in, right? But as far as the quality goes, the quality definitely does feel a lot better than the 17. And also, like I said, I do like how they added these overlays, especially if you're doing toe drags. It's gonna be a lot better for durability. With the 17, you have this really crappy, really thin synthetic overlay, which is still extremely soft. You know what I mean? And that's not gonna do much for durability either. So there's that. The one thing that I do like about the KD18 though is this plastic cage, right? So I'm not sure how it's gonna feel, if it's gonna feel different than the kind of like general release colorways of the KD18, because if you look at those, there's a different material, you know, there's that synthetic suede material over it. It's still plastic though, but in this, the black label colorway, it's like a rubberized plastic. So I'm not sure if it's gonna feel different, but just from, you know, my experience with this colorway, it is a lot more supportive feeling. You know what I mean? Like, it feels a lot better for lockdown here in the midfoot as well. KD17, of course, just wasn't good for that type of supportive feel. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a lighter dude and you don't need that much support like me, then it's not gonna feel that bad. The KD17, not that bad, but the 18 just feels a little bit more sturdy, a little bit more supportive, you know, especially when you're doing lateral movements, you know, your foot is a little bit more locked into place because of this kind of like plastic cage. You know, you got these fingers coming up. So I also really like the design on it as well. It looks really cool. So there's that. And as far as the foam goes and the tongue, it's like, average amount of padding, actually a little bit less than average, not super well padded, not super cozy. It's also half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit. And then here in the ankle area, also, it's actually quite plush. I would say around average, but like once you get in the back of the ankle, like where your Achilles is, it does get a little bit thicker, right? So that feels kind of plush, kind of nice, but pretty much the exact same as the KD17, right? So yeah, the KD18, now that it's broken in, it feels very similar. I would say it's a little bit better for quality, and also I would say this type of material, especially with the overlays, will last a lot longer than the crappy mesh that they use here in the 17, especially with this really thin plastic for the cage, you know? So it feels better for quality and feels a little bit more supportive, but still overall a very, very similar feel, right? And now moving on to the fit, I went true to size for both of these shoes and they both fit me very, very well. So yeah, if you know what size you are here in the KD17, go the exact same size here in the KD18 and you should be good to go. So lengthwise, I'm good to go, right? And also widthwise, I'm fine. It's like it's not super snug or anything, you know, it's more like slightly narrow to like more normal width. But here in the toe box, you know what I mean? They're both very, very forgiving. You know what I mean? So it's weird because here in the 18, you know, it's a snug fit. You know what I mean? Like I can feel the material on top of my toes pretty much. However, because it is like forgiving and a little bit more stretchy because of this mesh material, I can also fully curl my toes up. And I actually don't really like that feel all too much. I would rather have a material where it's snug and I can't really do that as much. You know what I mean? For me, in my personal opinion, I think it's a little bit too soft, especially now that the mesh material is more broken in, right? And you know, now that I've broken it in with the KD18, it feels very similar to the KD17 and not super supportive here in the toe box. I would say it's just a tiny bit more supportive here in the 18, but not that by much, right? So yeah, the fit for me is nice. It's just I don't really like how I can curl my toes up fully, right? And I know a good amount of people that don't like that. If you don't mind it, then you're gonna be fine though, right? So there is the fit there. Moving on to the support and lockdown, that's where the KD18 feels a little bit better, right? So for lateral containment, we do have this plastic cage covering the entire lateral side of the shoe, right? So here in the forefoot, here in the midfoot, and here in the heel, there's also an internal TPU heel counter. And with these fingers, you know, the laces go through the eyelets, you know, that are connected to the fingers. It kind of like tightens over your midfoot, which does improve the lockdown as well, right? So lateral containment, very, very nice. My foot wasn't really coming out of the footbed. It's just like a stiffer type of plastic material, right? Especially here in the forefoot. KD17, look at this. Very, very thin, very soft type of plastic, not great, right? So it wasn't the best for lateral containment here in the forefoot for me, but here in the 18, it definitely is improved, which I do like, right? Also, lateral stability is good. You know what I mean? I didn't have any type of kind of like wobbling or anything like that. It felt very stable for me. And overall lockdown is really good. You know, I didn't have any type of heel slippage or anything like that. And once I tightened the laces, I was good to go. My foot was locked into the shoe, you know? So that is a little bit of an improvement, you know what I mean? Slightly better lateral containment in the forefoot, of course. And now moving on to the weight of the shoe. Yeah, the 18 is definitely heavier, right? I don't know if the general release colorways are gonna be lighter than this. Probably, I'm guessing, right? But yeah, the 18 is 13.7 ounces. The KD17 is 12.65 ounces. So like an ounce lighter, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, it's like an ounce lighter, which is pretty insane. Does it feel heavier? Yeah, it does feel heavier. It does feel a little bit stiffer as well, which I do like, right? Like I said, the overall sole of the shoe is stiffer, which I think is better because the KD17 was just really soft. But also, it does feel a little bit more supportive here in the midfoot area, as well as for the lateral containment here in the forefoot, which I think is a plus, you know what I mean? And again, like 13.7 ounces isn't super heavy. It is on the heavier side of things, but the upper is really freaking minimal and nothing about the shoe is bulky, so I didn't really mind the weight all too much here in the KD18. And because of the added support and stiffness of the overall sole of the shoe, it just feels a little bit better to me, in my personal opinion, comparing to the 17, right? So there is the weight there. Moving on to the ventilation, very, very good. You know what I mean? With this mesh material, there's a good amount of airflow. Same thing here in the 17. I would say the 17 has more airflow though. So yeah, 18 is still pretty good. 17 is going to be better for ventilation. And as far as the overall durability of the shoe goes, I definitely feel like the 18 is a little bit better. You know what I mean? Especially with the plastic cage, it's just more sturdy. Also with this, you know, these overlays over the mesh material, that'll be a little bit better for durability as well. 17, not the best, you know what I mean? Also, it's just really cheap feeling, you know, especially with this material, which sucks, you know? And now moving on to the aesthetics. Yeah, 18 definitely looks a lot better in my personal opinion. right? Maybe I just really love this colorway though, you know, especially with the pattern on the plastic cage, because it's, the leaked image of the KD18, like the general release colorway, didn't really look too good to me, but I still feel like it looks better than the 17. I don't know. Tell us what you guys think looks better down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, yeah. I definitely feel like the KD18 is a slight improvement. You know what I mean? I definitely thought when I first got it, it was a lot better of an improvement than the 17. But now that I've broken it in, it feels just like a slightly better version of the 17. Just slightly, in my personal opinion, right? So the traction is better, but that's only because this is using a solid rubber outsole, and this was using translucent, and the 17 still had solid rubber outsole colorways, you know? The cushion, literally the exact same. The upper, here the toe box, it feels a lot more similar now that the KD18 is broken in, but here in the midfoot, a little bit better for the support, you know, also lateral containment is a little bit better in the forefoot, and I just like the more springy feel here in the KD18 comparing it to the KD17, but other than that, it's a very similar, like pretty much the exact same feeling shoe, you know, but again, with slight tweaks and slight improvements, which I think is a good thing. The only downgrade, of course, would be the weight, which is, you know, it's an ounce heavier, but again, like I don't know if the general release colorways are gonna be that much heavier because, you know, this is using the rubber cage. But other than that, yeah, I definitely enjoyed playing the KD18 more than I did here in the KD17, especially since this was sliding out kind of dangerously on the dustier courts, right? And as far as like, you know, who I would recommend it to, I would recommend it obviously more for guards. You know, if you're a bigger dude, I feel like this isn't gonna be still as supportive as other shoes. You know, if you want a really supportive shoe, this definitely isn't the best option, right? So I wouldn't recommend it as much for bigger dudes, but if you're a guard, then I definitely feel like you will enjoy this shoe, right? And I definitely, again, feel like it's a little bit of an improvement from the 17. So anyways, that about concludes my performance review of the Nike KD18. Again, if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I try to leave in the free link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.